The neon lights of Miller's Diner flickered in the warm Arizona evening, casting a pink hue across the dusty highway. Inside, the air smelled of coffee and fried bacon, and the jukebox hummed softly with an old country song. Behind the counter, Emily Carter, a 22-year-old waitress with kind eyes and a tired smile, moved gracefully between tables. She was known in town for her gentle nature and strong work ethic. Working double shifts to support her sick mother, Emily rarely complained. It was a normal Friday until the bell above the door chimed. 3 rough-looking men walked in, their heavy boots echoing on the tiled floor. They were drifters, loud and restless, their eyes sharp with arrogance. Emily greeted them politely and handed them menus. "What can I get you, gentlemen?" she asked softly. One of them smirked. "Coffee, sweetheart, and maybe a smile to go with it." The others laughed. Emily forced a polite grin and turned away to pour their drinks, pretending not to hear their crude jokes. But the more she ignored them, the bolder they became. As she set the coffee cups on their table, one of the men reached out, brushing his hand against her arm. She stepped back, uncomfortable. "Please don't," she said quietly. The diner had fallen unusually silent. A few truckers at the counter exchanged wary glances, sensing trouble. The man leaned back in his chair and sneered. "Relax, doll. We're just having fun." Then, before anyone could react, he grabbed her wrist and pulled her closer. The sound of fabric tearing filled the diner as her shirt ripped slightly at the shoulder. Gasps erupted from nearby tables. Emily stumbled back, clutching the torn fabric to her chest, her face pale with shock. "Hey, that's enough," shouted one of the truckers, standing up, but the 3 men laughed mockingly. "We're just playing around," one said, before tossing a few crumpled bills on the table and walking out. Their laughter echoed through the glass door as they disappeared into the night. The room was frozen. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to cry. Her co-worker rushed over with a jacket, wrapping it around her shoulders. The diner owner, Mr. Miller, clenched his fists in anger. "You okay, kid?" he asked softly. Emily nodded, though her hands trembled. One of the customers, a biker named Reed, who knew Emily's family, quietly slipped outside and made a phone call. His voice was low but urgent. "Jack needs to know. It's his sister." That name, Jack Carter, carried weight in Arizona. He wasn't just Emily's older brother. He was a respected member of the Hells Angels Arizona chapter. When Jack answered that call, he didn't say much. Just 4 cold words. "They touched my sister." By midnight, engines roared in the distance. Harley Davidsons lined up outside Miller's Diner, their headlights slicing through the dark. Inside, Emily sat quietly, unaware that her brother and his club were about to bring justice to those who had dared to hurt her.
The desert sun was just rising over the Arizona horizon when the engines started rumbling again, deep, powerful, and unmistakable. The Hells Angels were already on the move. Jack, Steele, Carter led the pack, his face cold and unreadable beneath his dark sunglasses. He'd spent the night gathering his brothers, each one ready to stand by him without question. For them, loyalty wasn't a word, it was a code. They followed the trail of the 3 men through the desert highway, dusty wind cutting through the early morning air. It didn't take long to find them. The men were holed up at a rundown roadside motel just off Route 66, drinking beer, laughing, and bragging about what had happened at Miller's Diner. They thought it was just another night of mischief. They had no idea who they had crossed. Jack's bikes pulled in slowly, surrounding the motel like wolves encircling prey. The sound of 10 roaring Harley Davidsons made the ground tremble. The laughter inside stopped instantly. One of the men peeked through the curtain and froze when he saw the line of bikes and leather jackets marked with the Angels insignia. Panic flashed across his face. Jack removed his helmet and stepped forward. His boots crunched against the gravel as the men stumbled out of their room, trying to act tough but shaking beneath their bravado. "Which one of you," Jack said, his voice steady as steel, "laid a hand on my sister?" No one answered. He took another step forward, eyes fixed on the ringleader. "You thought it was funny. You thought you could hurt a woman and walk away." The man stuttered. "Look, man, it was just a joke." Jack didn't let him finish. His fist connected with the man's jaw, sending him crashing against the side of the building. The others tried to back away, but Jack's brothers blocked every escape. The Angels didn't use weapons that morning, They didn't need to. Their fists, their fury, and their code were enough. After the dust settled, Jack stood over the bruised men. "You'll go back to Miller's diner," he said quietly, "and you'll apologize to my sister in front of everyone. Then you'll disappear from this town. Forever." They nodded frantically, their arrogance shattered. Later that afternoon, the diner grew silent again as the same three men walked through the door, heads lowered, bruised, and ashamed. Emily stood behind the counter, still shaken but stronger now. Jack stood beside her, his arm around her shoulders. One by one, the men mumbled apologies, their voices barely audible. Emily didn't speak. She simply nodded, refusing to let them see her pain. When they left, Jack turned to her and smiled softly. "No one messes with family," he said. She hugged him tightly, whispering, "Thank you, Jack." As the Hells Angels rode off into the sunset, the townsfolk stood outside watching, a mix of awe and respect in their eyes. From that day on, no one in that small Arizona town ever forgot the night Justice rode in on two wheels.